speaker is Carmel Irandoust. Carmel holds a Master's in International Peace Studies from Trinity College Dublin, and she is the founder and member of NETLOVE, which is a counselling agency that aims to promote the values of equality, diversity, justice, and peace by creating meaningful and thought-provoking spaces for schools, universities, and businesses. Carmel works closely with public and private institutions, including Irish Aid. She is also the chair of the Board of Governors of Oak Grove Integrated School in Derry. Carmel is committed to the power of education to transform both the individual and the world. So welcome.
Thank you.
Just when you want to advance your slides, just leave that.
Merci.
Zero.
Friends, it's such a joy to be here. The good thing about being self-employed is that we don't have an employer, so we can say whatever we want to say. And then when I was thinking about that, I said, but actually you have an employer. It's the universe, it's God, it's a greater force out there. And this is what makes us humble, so actually I do have an employer, unfortunately. Good morning. This is such a joy to be here this morning. It is also very humbling because I am actually in a room where many of you are involved and are well experienced in educational processes for young people, for children, for young children, and for adults. However, you will agree with me that we have never enough spaces to deepen our understanding just a little bit more every time we meet, to just explore a little bit more and deepen our understanding on this matter. Today, more than ever, these meaningful spaces help us to consult, to reflect, and to act about meaningful topics that directly affect us as humans and the environment we live in. Our societies are transforming so rapidly and intensely that we need to create such place. Friends, the reason why it is important is because, well, I already said that, thank you. So, when I was raised in France, we had Latin in middle school and high school, Latin or Greek. Unfortunately, these classes was always between 8 and 9 a.m. So I said, there's no way I'm gonna wake up early. But guess what? Now that I'm doing this work, I tend to find myself go back to the root word. What do we mean by education? Yes? What's the Latin word of education? So I'm gonna share with you. Friends, the word education is derived from the Latin words educare, educere, educo, and educatum. What does it mean? Educare signifies elevate or to nourish. Educere signifies to draw, to manifest. Educo means to bring out. And educatum means to act. And so it's interesting, isn't it, where the root words come from. What does education mean that we're now exploring that together, linked to unity? So the presentation I prepared for you today will be participatory, but also I will share with you a few quotes that I use as a conceptual framework, as we were talking about the work that I do and how I do it for the past 20 years. We will also explore a few examples of young people living here in Ireland that I got to meet at various levels and the impact they've had at the local, regional, national, and international levels. Actually, I was sharing with dear Cormac that most of the young people I've worked with are from Galway. So it must be something interesting. Lastly, in relation to the word unity now, we will explore this during the presentation. Friends, this is my inherent belief that any environment, any organization, any space, any nation, any community, any city or town, any family or even individual is not progressing or not transforming is because we are lacking this alignment between our thoughts, our words, and our deeds. It means that there is no unity, you see? Now, we know that from nature, it's good to stall sometimes, yes? It's like the seasons, spring, summer, autumn, and winter. But the winter cannot be too long, you see? So when we stalled, it's because we're not unified, you know? And so this is something we will explore together as well. Yes, so by growing, we foster more solidarity, more progress, and more compassion. So let's start. NETLOVE is the organization that I founded, that you have right here. And we can see with the state of the world that this is much more needed. How can we transform despair into hope? How can we transform hatred into more love? How can we transform war into peace? And so this organization tries to do that, twofold. The first is that we create spaces with schools, with businesses, as it was mentioned, and we try to explore this theme. What does it mean practically? And the second is that I do a lot of consultancy with organizations like UNICEF or World Vision Ireland or the Donegal County Council or Galway County Council, and we create these spaces as well, but also I do sometimes some reporting and trying to just upgrade 2.0, some of the things that are happening in some of these companies. So, ça va. Alors, NETLOVE, what do we mean by NETLOVE? I also believe that it's impossible to only be focusing on work, that now it's time for love. And what do we mean then by love? I didn't share that the two mottos of NETLOVE are that love will always prevail. And the second is that love is the most powerful weapon which we can use to transform the human heart. Yes? So you see, it doesn't have one motto, it has two. Now, this is what I mean by love. Who would like to read loud and clear for us? Anyone? Oh, Jamie, you want to read it, I can see.
The very flower of the spirit of man is his capacity for love. Love is not only the strongest cohesive power in society, it is the only permanent algonator, the only possible force which can produce unity among people, and thus by unity produce order and an atmosphere in which life can function at its highest and best.
Thank you. Friends, love is the only possible force which can produce unity among people, and thus by unity produce order and an atmosphere in which life can function at its highest and best. Today we don't need leaders of thoughts. Today we need leaders of hearts. Perhaps some of you are better with thoughts, some of you are better with hearts. But we can see that the world now needs something greater, no? And so I believe it's love. When Simon was talking about the tapestry behind you, it was no joke. Look at it. Look at it. This is a wonderful tapestry. And you can see there's an earth, there are people, they try to connect with one another, but what is it that is connecting them in the middle? You see? When there you have a sphere. It's unity. Well, you can put love or you can put compassion or solidarity. Now, did you choose where you were born, friends? People love, and I know that I love to ask this question. Did you choose where you were born? No, and yet you act as such. You dress as such, you speak as such, you smell as such. It's as if you picked where you were born, but really you did not, no? Sometimes you go to fight as if you chose where you were born. You did not choose it, yes? And so then we can see, look around the room as well, you can see the diversity of the people, the age group, and we can see that actually we are and we do belong to one planet Earth. We are actually humans, and we must do justice to it. I was in a space once, and this child, 13, 14, he said, and you will see that it was at a national conference organized by NYCI, the National Youth Council of Ireland. And this young person said, when aliens will come and talk to us, who's going to be represented? Are we going to be bad countries, or are we going to be humans? I was like, wow, that's mind blowing. That's true, he's right. Are we seeing ourselves as Americans, French, or Irish? Or are we seeing ourselves as human, you know? What is the delegation that's going to meet these aliens, you know? And so the Earth was not divided into countries, yet you know exactly which continent we are showing here, because we've been formatted as such. We need to be ordered. We need to have this order. But truly we can see that the time zones and the name of our countries sometimes divide us rather than unite us. No? True peace and tranquility will only be realized when every soul will have become the well-wisher of all mankind. Today we are here to talk about youth, yes? So when we talk about every soul, that true peace and tranquility will only be realized when every soul will have become the well-wisher of all mankind. Today we can see that what the role of the young people are is actually to do that. And when we talk about every soul, we're talking about children and our youth. Why? Because our young people can become the light of the world or the darkness. You can see a few photos. On the left, top left, can you guess where this is? Top left, have you ever seen this photo? No? This is in Derry, France. In the northern part of this island. On the right, do you recognize this photo? This is France. This was a couple of months ago, and this was because, whether justified or not, because some people say, but it was just justified. This youth actually stole a car, you know? He was unlawful. But this is in France when a young person, 16 years old, actually was in a stolen car and a police officer came and put a gun right at his chest and shot. And so still today in society, in the French society, we enter into a banter to say, but it was justified, no? But yet still this young person was killed and assassinated, and obviously all the young people started to go in the streets and started to riot. When they asked a young person who was 16 years old with some toilet paper in his bag and stealing from the stores, no? They said, why did you do that? Why are you doing this riot? And he said, they killed this kid, you know? He's my age, this is not right. And yet he continued walking with cereals and toilet paper in his hands, and he ran away. Huh? And so these are the things that people were stealing, you know, at the time. And then on the bottom right, you have something not afraid. These are young people who actually marched, and also you see the French flag. This is also young people who went in the streets and said, no more. We do not want to have terrorist attacks. We don't want war. Same on the left. In the streets of Paris, when Charlie, Je suis Charlie happened, I was there, we marched for peace, with some other political leaders actually. And you see in the streets of Paris they said, I am a police officer, I am Jewish, I am Muslim, I am Christian, I am atheist, I am French, I am a citizen of the world, I am Charlie. Interesting, isn't it? Some of you have seen the Olympic Games opening. You have seen that there were a lot of controversial things as well. But what drew my attention was this idea of unity and diversity, and love and peace, and this unity of all the different countries. Now, every child is potentially the light of the world, and at the same time its darkness. Wherefore must the question of education be accounted as a primary importance. So here it's interesting to see what education means, and I think that with dear Cormac we will talk about it, and also you touched a little bit about it. So I will not go too deep into the word education, but rather some examples about what education could be used as, no? So, and this is where I associate the word education, and this is what the work I've been doing has been doing this, no? To educate means also to do that, to me. Darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate, only love can do that. Love is the only force capable of transforming an enemy into a friend. I am very grateful for the Irish president. Very grateful to Michael D. Actually, I really love him. And people know that. And they know how much I love the Irish president, and they know that every time they see him, they send me a picture of him. They say, look, Carmel. I say, yeah, look at And you know, someone very brilliant decided to knit this thing that they put on teapots, and it has the face of the Irish president, you know? And so no one has offered me one yet, so I'm just sending it out there. But send me photos, that's very nice, but I would love to have one. I never know where to get it from. Huh? Okay. Yeah, that's okay. So here the Irish president says, we must seek to build together an active, inclusive citizenship based on participation, equality, respect for all, and the flowering of creativity in all its form. A confident people is our hope, a people at ease with itself, a people that grasps the deep meaning of the proverb, Ninart ke kala. Our strength lies in our common will, our social solidarity. And then he goes on by saying, active citizenship requires the will and the opportunity to to participate at every level and in every way, to be the arrow, not the target. Friends, he says often that young people should be the arrow and not the target, and this is the title of the talk that I'm giving today. If young people are the arrow and not the target, the arrow has two parts, a pointy thing and a shaft. What we must try to do is to be the shaft and help the young people to make and take this direction wherever they think that is needed. And when we bring more light into any space that we are in, when we bring more compassion, more hope, more love, something very mystical happens, you see? And so these are one or two examples that I can share with you. Obviously, there's this Irish youth, praise the youth and they will flourish. Morlan Oega Agus. Thank you. Young people in Galway contacted Youth Work Ireland and said, we have discrimination and prejudice in our school, can you come and help us? We want to change that. So then Youth Work Ireland Galway called me and said, can you consult with these 6 girls and help them because they want to deliver something and make a difference in their schools. We worked on a document and we were able to actually put it out there, and they did a training with them, and so now some of the youth workers in Galway are using this material to try to create more spaces of love and unity. These are young people from Galway as well. 2015, when the Syrian refugees happened and came, I was 10 kilometers from the Syrian border and was able to see some Syrian refugees. When I came back to Ireland, I shared with them, what did we see and what did the children say? The Syrian children said when I asked them, if you have one message to give, what would you like to give to the children in Ireland? The Syrian children said, we hope the children in Ireland don't suffer the same way we did. We hope that they don't need to leave their home the same way we did. So then I brought that sentence back, shared it with the young people in Galway, and they said, we're gonna organize breakfast. We're gonna bring more ties of friendship for Irish people and Syrian people. National Youth Council of Ireland is preparing a paper for the Summit of the Future in the United Nations this fall. NYCI came and said, can you help our young people in the national level to develop a paper to be presented on behalf of the country of Ireland at the United Nations? Fine. Friends, do you believe that the 33 recommendations are all focused on solidarity, unity, intergenerational collaboration? I invite you to look at it as well. All must surge, but the youth must soar. This is something from the international governing body of the Baha'i community that I was representing actually in the Holy Land for 2 years and a few months. And so this is something very interesting to look at because we are all, and the youth in the room are those who will surge. How can we support them? And I will end with this. I live in Derry, yes, I didn't share also that this idea of soaring is happening all around the world, friends. You have seen Ecuador, Colombia, you have seen Ireland. I just came back from France and Portugal. This is a worldwide movement that is happening out there. I will just end with this because this is very interesting how it happened. I live in Derry. I lived in Dublin for a few years and now I live in Derry. And in this integrated school, in a bit segregated community, really, which are trying to break that from these 2 boxes, there's this integrated school, you know, and I was recently elected as the chair of this integrated school. So it's very interesting, but because they didn't only go for the middleman, but the consultation in this board of governors was that if we are really about integration, what does it mean? And apparently the consultation was very fruitful. I wasn't even in the room, to tell you the truth, when this happened. But this is how I was put into this post, to try to bring more integrity. And you should see, as soon as you start to share this vision of light and love to parents, to students, teachers, and managers of the school, again, something interesting happens, you know? To focus on the light and not on obscurity is the end of my talk. Thank you very much.